In the early 2000s, it was a two-person race, Nintendo and Sony. Try as they might, poor Sega just couldn't cut it in the race. Dreamcast was amazing, but it was ahead of its time and it just didn't quite get the love it needed to stay afloat. But out of nowhere, Microsoft drops a console with a massive Duke controller, but they also had deep pockets and a ton of ambition. Admittedly, the PS2 gets a lot of love these days. It's its 20-year anniversary, and it's one of the greatest consoles ever made. But with that, Microsoft dropped not only a cool console to compete with the GameCube and the PS2, but it had some amazing first-party games you could only play on that platform. So with the Xbox Series X coming out, the PS5 around the corner, now is the best time to grab your Duke controller, strap up those sneakers, and get into some classic OG Xbox games that you can only play on the Xbox. Stick around, let's take a look. Okay, let's get this started the right way. Everybody has heard of Halo, Fable, and Knights of the Old Republic, so let's just throw those out right away. Okay, KOTOR is one of the greatest games ever made. It still holds up, and it needs a remake, or it needs something new. The plot twist, the graphics at the time were great, but now they're not going to hold up, but the story is still incredible, and the gameplay mechanics were insane for the time. Halo, the reason I bought my Xbox. Need I say any more? LAN parties, old CRTs back to back. That's what Halo is all about. And then Fable. Peter Molyneux gave us a ton of inspiration. He may not have lived up to everything he hoped, but Fable is an amazing series. So those three IPs, let's just go ahead and drop that right now. But hold on, now we're getting to the goods. First up, I'm gonna cheat. KOTOR 2, Knights of the Old Republic 2, the Sith Lords. Okay, I know I said KOTOR, but here's the thing. They were made by a whole different developer. It didn't get as much love. And frankly, it isn't as good of a game as the original, but we're literally talking one of the greatest RPGs ever made. How do you live up to that? Well, you do your best and you try. Obsidian Entertainment is responsible for Knights of the Old Republic 2, and it does have some really cool stuff in addition to the already amazing morality system of Sith and Jedi. The gameplay mechanics are all there from the original. The Sith triumvirate with Darth Traya, Darth Scion, and Darth Nihilus, that makes it a really cool way to play. Instead of just having Darth Malak, you actually have 3 Sith you're fighting against. And of course, it doesn't quite get the love that it does from the original KOTOR. But that doesn't mean this isn't a great game, and one that you could only play through either Xbox or the PC. So I am clamoring for some sort of Knights of the Old Republic game on new hardware. Please, but still, go back and play this freaking game. Any Star Wars fan has got to play Knights of the Republic 2 and obviously the OG. I'll be the first to admit, licensed games typically come out a little bit rough. It's a cash grab. When I think of good licensed games, I think of GoldenEye on the Nintendo 64. That was done right. But you want to know what else was amazing? A game that came out on the original Xbox, exclusive to the console, Chronicles of Riddick: Escape from Butcher Bay. Yeah, that Chronicles of Riddick, the one played by Vin Diesel. This wasn't a cash grab. This is an incredible action game, and it's criminally underrated and really criminally unknown for the most part. This isn't just a good licensed game, this is a great game in general. The atmosphere, the gameplay, but you know what makes it really nice is it's not just fun, it's actually different. The second the game has you doing something and you start to think, okay, I'm getting the hang of it, kind of getting fun, boom, it changes to a completely different style, and that way you're not being stuck with the repetitiveness of the same style of action, the same storyline over and over and over. It gets a ton of praise for being packed with action, and it doesn't get boring. It never puts you in a scenario where it wears out its welcome. This is definitely one of the best licensed games ever made. I'm going to throw that out there right now. And definitely needs to be played. The next game up is a game that I played for the first time this year and fell in love with, and it still held up for me, and that's Jade Empire. It was also created by BioWare. It's very similar in its structure to Knights of the Old Republic. You have the same developer, same style of gameplay. So why would you play Jade Empire if Knights of the Old Republic is one of the greatest? Because it's freaking awesome. It takes place in China, it has an amazing storyline, another fantastic plot twist, and instead of turn-based combat, you get real-time combat. And you get multiple styles of martial arts that you can incorporate your special moves into, branching skill trees, the morality system is there, and again, it's just absolutely incredible. You play as a spirit monk who was rescued as a baby while invading forces were threatening your life. Then you grow up in a small isolated village, attend a martial arts school, and then another invasion in the martial arts school happens. Your master gets taken hostage, and now it's up to you to go rescue him. That is a legit storyline, and that's just the beginning of the game. What follows is a crazy menagerie of random stuff, side quests, NPCs, and a ton of martial arts action. If you haven't played Jade Empire, please, of all the games on this list, this is one of the most underrated games that people have forgotten about. Before narrative first-person shooters were cool, we had Breakdown by Namco. Now this game sees you injected with a super soldier serum of sorts in a top secret lab. Oh, and by the way, you're also suffering from amnesia. A being called the Nexus is creating these alien soldiers that are all but invincible to fight against the humans, and you are stuck in the middle of this sci-fi battle. As you progress, you get these psionic powers, Matrix-esque powers, if you want to call them that help you along the way. And by the way, you're unraveling this story of your past as well as fighting in the present. And on top of that, it's not just first person for the sake of being first person. It is literally looking narrative style. You gotta look down to open doors. You gotta look down to grab ammo. You gotta reload by looking at it. I mean, it's very much a first person game that puts you right in the middle of this. So if you are into a first person narrative game, it may not be a 10, we can't all be supermodels in gaming, but it's definitely got really good above average reviews, and if you like those first person narratives, Breakdown is the way to go. The hidden gem that is no longer hidden. Crimson Skies. Crimson Skies was talked about by Drunken Master Paul, talked about by Metal Jesus, but I think a lot of people that don't have an OG Xbox still haven't had a chance to play this. This is an open-air combat style game that puts you obviously in the cockpit of airplanes, but don't let that fool you. You can also get out, you can jump on a gun turret. It doesn't give you the complete open world aspect, but it does give you a little bit of freedom. But the cool thing about this as well is when it was released, it was one of the early adopters of Xbox Live. You can play this game online, which was one of the biggest selling points. Over the years, it's kind of been forgotten about until recently when people have been talking about it, but the graphics were incredible at the time and they still hold up, and the gameplay, which is the most important, still holds up. So if the last game wasn't a supermodel with a 10 out of 10, Crimson Skies definitely is. Rounding out this OG Xbox exclusive list is Panzer Dragoon Orta. Now Panzer Dragoon is a series that's well known, except it got started on the Sega Saturn. Who the heck had a Sega Saturn? I'm not saying it's a bad system, but compared to the other systems at the time, the N64, the PlayStation, the Sega Saturn really didn't get that much love, and people didn't get a chance to play the Dragoon series. Well now, being an Xbox exclusive, this is the only way to play Orta, even though there have been some re-releases of the original games. This is the only way still at this point to play Panzer Dragoon Orta. In this game, you follow the storyline of Orta, a teenage girl rescued by a mysterious dragon from her lifelong prison. From there, it's a classic on-rails shooter, except you're riding on the back of a dragon, fighting off enemies. Since it's an on-rails shooter, it's not open world. Imagine like Star Fox, where you have a predetermined path, but you can kind of control what's going on around you by shooting. You can speed up, you can slow down, you can look left, you can look right, but you're on this predetermined roller coaster style rail. The game itself got high praise across the board, but we really haven't got anything since this game. We've only gotten remakes, remasters. We don't have another game in the Panzer Dragoon series. So if you want to play the last actual original game, you have to play it on the OG Xbox. Alright, my Xbox cronies, there you go. A handful of Xbox exclusives that you need to check out, and many of these will probably be backwards compatible on the Series X, so there's always that. Thank you, Microsoft. If you haven't played Kotor or Fable or Halo, then definitely check those games out. And if you like this, let me know, because there's always a part 2. As always, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and thanks for trolling and rolling with me this week. Until next time, we'll see you later.